Hello and welcome to another Pauper video. We're going to be going over the trophies from Magic Online for last week. This shows us what is doing the best in the Magic Online leagues. If you want to keep up to Pauper, up to date, make sure to check out the rest of this video. Before we get into it, check out cardmarket.com if you want to pick up any of the decks from this video, largest seller of Magic the Gathering cards in Europe. Make sure to like and subscribe. Hit up Patreon for sideboard guides for the decks that I like to play, all that good stuff. So going into the week, this was the week of August 25th to 31st. We actually had 126 trophies, which was fewer than the previous weeks. We had mostly mono red at 13.49 if you don't combine the archetypes. So we'll get into that in a little bit. We start off with mono red, then Affinity at 13 trophies, mono blue terror at 13, Jund Glee at 12, Dimir Fey at 11, Gardens at 9, and for Gardens I didn't split it up, but we had 3 black-green and 6 Jund, so it seems that people are mostly on the Jund version. Then we had 8 Elves and 7 black-green Glee. I was kind of surprised to see that Elves was higher than Glee here, and then trailing off, really falling apart. Lots of one-ofs, but you know, last week we had 148 trophies, this week only 126, so maybe people are playing Pauper a little bit less or something else is going on causing that to be the case. We see the metagame, mono red on the top, Affinity, Terror, Glee, Fey. This looks like a really healthy metagame. And then let's just scroll down a little bit. We have 19 Glee combo as the top played deck of the week, 17 mono red, 13 Affinity, then we have Terror, then Dimir Fey, Gardens. And I did combine Gruul into 6 here, so it doesn't really change too much. And then if you look at the chart, the only thing is that now there's 4 decks in about 50%, whereas here there were 5. And that sort of comes down to how you're going to manage the archetypes. Personally, it kind of looks like, you know, from either standpoint, things are looking to be a little bit more diverse. And I really feel that this is because of Dimir Fey coming back. So props to Barf and the team that worked on that for bringing that back. Also, Jund Glee seems to be the most played version of Glee. And we know that Season of Mist is the trophy leader right now on Jund Glee. So if you have any questions, just start messaging him. So let's pop into some spicy decks. So the first deck I wanted to highlight was something that I've played on my channel before, but I think this might have been my trophy or somebody else copying my list. This is the Black-Green Brood Scale featuring Greedy Freebooter and Shambling Gas with Mesmeric Fiend. And this is a way to really go aggressive while having a lot of creatures on the table to block and make that stuff happen. I've really enjoyed this version. I just trophied with a separate version today, which was Black-Green Glee, actually cutting a Fiend and a Safekeeping for Last Rites, putting a couple of Twisted Landscapes in the deck. So if you're looking to play the black-green version of Glee, maybe this would be a really fun version to play. I find it much more enjoyable than the regular sack version. So the second deck I wanted to highlight, somebody got a trophy with Is It Fairies? So let's just show how it's set up. This is very classic Is It Fairies, it looks like. They've got 4 Fairy Seer, 4 Spellstutter Sprite, 4 Hacker, 4 Ninja, so they're all in. Only a couple of Augur of Bolas over here, and then 4 Ponder as their other cantrips, with Lorien Revealed also to get card advantage. Tolarian Terror as the basically angler of the deck, and 8 removal spells with Lightning Bolt and Scred. That's kind of sweet. It's relatively stock, but I just did want to highlight that a person trophied with Is It Fairies. Okay, the pilot of that deck was not the face. So let's go down. We have some crazy ones. I did see that somebody trophied with Red-Green Storm, which is my Ruby Storm deck. They're playing 4 Woodlot, 4 Needle, 3 Crevice, and 4 Mountains, which is really cool. Only 7 cost reducer effects with Goblin Archomancer and Thornscape Familiar. And they're playing 4 Rite of Flame, 4 Petal, 4 Seething Song, which makes it have a lot of power to explode. And then their card draw package is actually 4 Impulse, 4 Ren's Resolve, 4 Glimpse, and 3 Big Score. And I thought this was interesting because in the past I felt that Big Score wasn't very good, but they have a lot of power. They can come out fast and kill people with Gutter Snipe since there's 3 in the main, or just go Burning Prophet. And it looks like actually they cut the haste stuff. So It's really interesting to see that this was able to trophy. Let's see if they have any looping in the sideboard. They have no looping in the sideboard, just very simple. So that's cool to see. I love the fact that somebody else that wasn't me was able to trophy with this deck. That is really awesome. The next deck I wanted to highlight was an oldie with a goodie with Boros Bully, and they're actually playing the 4 Sneaky Snacker package. This is a really cool way to get Sneaky Snacker into your deck. They can pitch it to all of their Faithless Lootings, Thrilling Discoveries, and Rafine's Informant, and then just get it back. They don't really have a way to cast it, but they are playing the Gates package, and you can make any of your creatures lethal with the Gates. Sacred Cat and Prismatic Strands mean you're very, very good against a mono red opponent. Also, probably Terror. And then the sideboard has the classic Anti-Affinity, and then Volition Honor Guard and Standard Bearer for Glee, Prismatic Strands again. They have Board Wipes and Arms of Hadar, and then a Pyroblast Elementalist split. Pyroblast and Red Blast split. That's probably just due to price concerns. Now, another very spicy deck is this Black-Green Brood-Scale combo deck, which is using the same Basking Brood-Scale and Sadistic Glee combo, but they have Snarling Gorehound in their deck, which says whenever another creature you control with power 2 or less enters, surveil 1. So they can surveil away their entire library and then jumpstart Gravitic Punch to kill your opponent by using the 1/of Jack-o'-lantern to exile it from your graveyard to make 1 mana of any color. You can also, if you have no cards in hand, but you have Jack-o'-lantern on the battlefield, sacrifice it to get another card in hand so they can use Gravitic Punch. But they're not playing any other flashback type stuff. This player likes to play Bequeathal, which you can put it on your creature and then Village Register creature and draw like 4 or 5 cards, which is also really sweet. Sandstorm in the sideboard to deal 1 damage to each attacking creature, specifically for something like mono red. Now, I talked a lot last week about the Dimir Fairies deck. People were like, isn't that Dimir Control? So this is actually a Dimir Control deck, and don't mind the arts, but this is from Carves. They're playing Dark Ritual and Murmuring Mystic, Admiral, and Thorn of the Black Rose. So they have a bunch of 4-drops to power out, and they're going to win the game by playing Attrition through counter spells and removal spells, and then eventually just go over the top of your opponent with Admiral or Thorn of the Black Rose and Murmuring Mystic. Okay, now things are getting very spicy. Here we have a Abzan 4-color cat food deck with Gates. So this is playing Cauldron Familiar and Sacred Cat. Ginger Brood is a familiar, Candy Trail familiar, Carrot Cake. Food. But for foods, we've got Ginger Brood, Candy Trail, Carrot Cake, Lembas. It's awesome. And then they have Baker's Bane Duo to make more food, Cash Grab, which makes food. And they're just going to go over the top of the opponent with Deadly Dispute, Eviscerator's Insight, all their foods, and eventually kill them with Mirkwood Bats, which is really cool. Sacrifice all your foods. Mid-range food deck. I've seen a lot of this floating around. You can check out Teasdale, who played like a bunch of food stuff. So that was really sweet to see. Definitely a new archetype has emerged, and that's really cool. That's spicy level 1, I guess, or getting spicier as we go. And the second place most spicy deck is this Food Pestilence deck, which I think Cornetto created. I'm not really sure, but Kermlinksy 5-0'd with it. He probably is going to have a video if you haven't seen it already, if it's not out. And it's doing the same thing with Cauldron Familiar, Carrot Cake. Heaped Harvest is a really sweet new card. You can sacrifice it to put, when ETBs, it gets a land, and then when you sacrifice it, you get a land. And then eventually kill your opponent with Pestilence combined with Guardian of the Guild Pact, which is a pretty classic combo since Guardian of the Guild Pact has protection from monocolored, and Pestilence goes away if there's no creatures on the battlefield. Really sweet. It's just wild to see this kind of thing happen. I'm happy for Kermlinksy for getting the trophy, and I did check to see if the sideboard was really 14 cards, and yes, it was. So the most spicy deck of the week goes to Ritual Sinkhole with Turbo Fog, and you might notice that there's no blue cards in this deck. He's playing Black-Green Turbo Fog, and as far as I know, he's actually played a newer version of this deck, but you're looking to kill your opponent with Crypt Rats for lethal or Mirkwood Bats plus Crypt Rats for lethal by making a ton of treasures with your Heap Gate. and you're just fogging people out. Darkness, Fog, Moment's Peace, Tangle, 1 Campfire to loop. Man, this deck, it just feels like it's probably a huge grind, but with Ichor Wellspring, Lembas, Deadly Dispute, and Eviscerator's Insight, you probably have enough power to just go over the top of your opponents. Also playing Pyroblast in the sideboard, which is funny because they're a Gates deck. Man. So hopefully you enjoyed this look through the trophies of the week. If you think any of these things were spicy enough to want to make me play it, there's always deck donations through Patreon, or you can contact me directly. I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks again.